Welcome one and all to another fantastic Monday here at the Damage with me, John Iadarola, and more importantly, Francesca Fiorentini. Francesca, how's it going?
More importantly, you're back.
I'm back. I was only gone for a week. But thank you for holding it down and hosting.
No problem. I'm barely holding on.
Yeah,
Thanks for
doing?
asking. I'm okay. I think, look, I'm just gonna say it, the lunar eclipse not working out for me, but working out for the gentleman whose voice I'm imitating right now. Yeah, a lot of things in flux, sick babies, lots of.
How's the baby?
She's fine. She's in daycare. Daycare needs to be free and universal. We all know this to be true, parents out there.
That seems like something like the pro-life movement should maybe look into, but I know they're obsessed with a different aspect of it. But anyway, sorry to hear that about the baby, and glad that you're here though.
Yes.
Because we do indeed have a lot to talk about. There's been breaking news every like 15 minutes, and so we're gonna be diving into all that through the course of this show, but not just that. Mike Johnson, as of right now, Speaker of the House, we'll see for later today, but we're gonna be talking about him and his trouble holding on to his, at least as of right now, majority in Congress. We're gonna see how long that lasts. Ronna McDaniel's got a new job, how fun for her. And I know everybody is waiting to hear our thoughts on James Carville's recent comments. And it's a story that I don't think anybody cares about, but I find it to be really interesting. And I think there's a chance Francesca might as well. And that's all in the first hour. We got even more coming up in the aftermath. Horrible Republican candidate. We've got dueling ads focused on the topic of immigration from both Trump and Biden, showcasing slightly different approaches to the topic. And we will be concluding the show with some of Stormy Daniels' most recent comments about that night. The night where all of the stuff happened. She did a documentary, and so we got more comments on that. And as we've been doing recently, on Mondays, we've been releasing bonus content to our tier 2 and tier 3 members on YouTube. We will be doing that. We're actually gonna be diving into the story that's been developing over the course of the last few days, which is the absolutely devastating attack at the concert hall near Moscow in Russia. That, as well as some pretty big developments at the UN Security Council. So if you're a member, look forward to that to come out later on today. And if not, consider signing up because we've been enjoying doing this bonus content and we're gonna be doing a lot more of it. With all that said, Francesca, you ready to do this thing?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, you sound excited.
What?
Hey, you're being honest, I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Really fast though, also, how did the show go?
Show went great.
Your big show in Sacramento.
Shout out to Sacramento again. A lot of Dragon Squad members, a lot of Frantifa in waiting. That means they don't know it yet, but they're part of it. Yeah, a lot of people missing you, loving you from the capital of this great state. John, not sure if you've paid it much mind.
I haven't
Sacramento,
been there.
California.
I have not, no. Doesn't that kind of sometimes feel like LA should just be the capital?
Whoa.
Maybe San Fran? I don't know.
What an LA thing to say. Yeah. I feel like we should just be the center.
Like, aren't we anyway, really? I'll even give it to San Fran. I'm not saying it has to be us. San Diego's lovely. Anyway, okay, with that, all that said, I apologize for everyone subjecting all of you to our Californian talk. We're gonna jump into other news. And we're also, behind the scenes of the producers, just keep an eye out because I know stuff is developing if anything big happens, but let's jump into this. Breaking news over the weekend, Donald Trump whined a whole lot about his difficulty in securing the nearly $500 million bond necessary in his New York civil fraud case, and it looks like it paid off. The breaking news is less the whining. You're not surprised by that, but that it worked. And we've got big developments as of this morning. So a New York appeals court has handed the former president a major lifeline. They've accepted a far smaller bond amount of $175 million, effectively cutting $300 or so million off of it. And they've given him 10 extra days to obtain the bond. This is a bond level that sources say he is likely to be able to secure. He was not seemingly able to secure the previous one. So he's got the lower amount and the delay, and apparently the AG obviously will not be able to seize his properties during the appeals once he secures this. So if that's something you were looking forward to, sorry. Oh, also, they're going to allow him and his sons to continue to run the business in New York and obtain loans while the appeals process goes forward. And so they gave him everything, I guess. I mean, I guess he does still have to pay the bond. They could have made it zero, I suppose. But it is hard to see this and not think, yeah, nope, that's the system protecting itself. They're just gonna give him everything. Give him everything that he wanted. He still has to do the bond or whatever, but we'll see if this appeals court is willing to cut the bond down by that much. Are we now not sure that they won't cut the actual penalty down by a similar amount when all is said is done, or maybe vacate it? You know, after all, I hear the judge was really mean in valuing Mar-a-Lago. So Francesca, what do you think?
Yeah, it is worth 900 crunch trillion. There's a trillion. It's actually
Bojillion
it's
what I think
chillion with CH, chillion bojillion dollars. You know, I want to make light of this, but I'm just mad. I'm so mad. You know, I wasn't looking forward to a lot, you know, over the weekend, in life, this year. And then there was Monday. There was the Monday where $454 million was owed by Donald Trump that he couldn't come up with. Otherwise, his assets like Mar-a-Lago or like Trump Tower would be seized. And you know, we the people don't get a lot of good things in this political life. And this just seemed to be one of them. But no, as you mentioned, the system will protect the rich as it was designed to do. And I am livid. Like, of course this was going to happen. This makes absolute sense that it would happen. And yet there are people wallowing in jail right now because they can't come up with $5,000 to get themselves out on bond on, let's say, a nonviolent drug offense. To name one of, I'm sure, thousands of examples of people around this country. People know people who've been held for less. But it's Donald Trump, man. And so you see two things. One, how the greasing of the wheels could work in the future should any of these other cases go on, and should he be, you know, heaven forbid, reelected president. And then the second is, my God, just when we all want to throw in the towel at this two-party oligarchic duopoly of a democracy that we have, the courts really matter. It really matters who is on these appellate court districts, judge panels.
Appellate courts and district courts, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Clearly, me, average dumb American, doesn't understand, but I know they're important and I can see that now. And yes, we all need to be voting and we need to hold our nose and do whatever we can to change this rigged system.
Yeah, the whole thing is just, it's like, yeah, no, there's a million ways that it'll be protected. And even before this happened, I was reading over the weekend an analysis of, so the AG is gonna come for his properties and she'll try, okay? Now she's not going to, but she was going to. So many layers of protection. There's something like, so you may be surprised to find out that like, maybe you own property, maybe not. It's America and it's very impossible to do that. But if you owned property, I bet you would own that property, but that's not how the rich do it. Do you know he has something between 200 and 300 different legally distinct entities that own wholly or in part all of his properties? Layers upon layers of bureaucracy and different kinds of protection and everything. They have that. If you steal cigarettes, you could go to jail, but he committed this fraud. It's all on paper. It's not disputable. This isn't allegations. He did it. They knew how much these properties are worth. They were told over and over and over and over again, and they lied about it. They lied about it to comically large extents so that they could make hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's what they did. They committed the crime. They benefited from committing the crime, but he's rich, and he was the president. So he gets protected. That's the way it works. And I know that like there's probably like some MAGA person who's like, yeah, look at them. They're breaking down. Sure, okay, yes, I guess I am disappointed. I do have emotions. But bear in mind what we're breaking down over. What we're breaking down over is the fact that the system is rigged for the wealthy.
Yep.
You guys cosplay that you have a problem with that. But you're happy right now, aren't you? The fact that the system will always protect the wealthy and well-connected. You, in reality, love that. You love the fact that people like you would have the book thrown at you. You'd be in prison right now. But the wealthy, who you believe to the very marrow of your bones are better than you, are treated by the system as if they're better than you. This is what the system is. You pretend to hate it, but you in fact love it. You love the fact that the system will lift up people like Trump while trampling people like you. It's super weird that that's how you live your life, but it is in fact the way that things work.
But remember, John, they are not class conscious. So if they, meaning you, people who are listening, who think we're freaking out about it, you're used to it being told to you as the establishment is working against Donald Trump, and he's a populist and he believes in the working class and code for white people and code for privilege. You're being sold a pack of racist lies so that you don't actually focus, and you have this nebulous idea of what the establishment is, as if Donald Trump was not a silver spoon celebrity effing establishment little boy who NBC gave an entire second career to, even though he in real life was a terrible businessman. He is the pinnacle of the establishment and the Hollywood establishment at that. No. You don't understand that actually the establishment is the wealthy and the rich. And they absolutely hate your guts. And I love, John, the upside down world when if they can do this to Trump or the January 6 rioters who BT dubs are white, they can do this to anyone. Like, no, buddy, they don't. They didn't do it to him.
Yeah, J6, they can't.
They can't do it to him. They would do it to you. They will do it to you, and they have done it to you.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, these people are so utterly deluded. But anyway, Donald Trump has responded to the fact that an appeals court has stepped in to save his bacon. He truthed this, I'm not reading the entire thing, but he says he's complaining about Judge Arthur Engeron. He has disrespected the appellate division, blah, blah, blah. Also released the gag order. He still is so focused on the fact that he can't advocate for violence against a few people involved in the case. He just was saved $300 million. And he's still focused on the fact that he can't encourage violence against these people. Blah, 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 record overturns, blah, blah, blah. I did nothing wrong. And New York should never be put in a position like this. No, you did do something wrong. We know specifically what you did wrong, with which properties, to what extent. We know exactly the gap between how you valued them and how they were objectively valued and the money that you saved as a result of that. That's where the bond judgment amount came from, as we'll get to. So that's what he's saying. He goes on to say this. He believes that he just got this news on this huge court day where he's doing the fraud stuff and he's doing the hush money case stuff, which we'll get to. And after posting that big thing about how I did nothing wrong, blah, 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 he then does a whole separate post again saying that they were wrong to value Mar-a-Lago at 18 million when it's worth 50 to 100 times more than that. He will, if he was sinking below the surface of the ocean, his final breath would be, Mar-a-Lago's worth $1 billion. Before he goes under. What do you care, man? She's not seizing it. They saved you. The system saved its own, as always. Now he goes on with more recent truths that we don't have in graphic form. He's saying that both the judge and the AG, they should be penalized in some way. Of course, he's going to try to turn on. They tried to do that with Fani Willis as well. So of course, that's what he's doing. Francesca, what do you think? It's still going to go forward. We're going to have the appeals. It's going to last, I'm going to say 2 years. And so maybe it'll be wrapped up midway through his term in time for the midterms. Maybe. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's also evidence, to some of his billionaire friends, hey, lean on your justices. We know the Supreme Court is bought and sold, but what about these, appellate courts? What about them? like, what do we know about all of these courts that are saving the riches behind left and right? Because also they see themselves in Trump. If Trump can get hammered for overinflating his assets when he wanted a loan and underinflating them when he wanted a tax break, then that's the stuff that we do every single day. What does that mean for us? And finally, there's no way Mar-a-Lago's worth 50 to 100 times that unless there are more bodies like Ivana Trump buried by hole 9, and it's I don't know, they forgot to take all the jewels off their fingers.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay, we're gonna turn to the other major update of the day, but before we do that, I just want to have a little bit of brief fun because this was supposed to all be fun, and now it's not, unfortunately. So we're gonna jump to Eric Trump just for a little bit of a palate cleanser.
No one's ever seen a bond this size. Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing. They were laughing. Yeah. Top executives of the largest surety companies had never seen anything of this size. And what, they're gonna start seizing assets? If he can't put up something that's not available in the United States?
You said.
I do buy that they laughed. I do. I was laughing. I mean, I'm not the exact same thing as a New York businessman, but I buy that they were laughing there, Eric. They are so focused on this concept that the bond is too big, that it's impossible, that nobody's ever seen it. It's not true. There have been bigger bonds. I'm not saying it happens frequently or anything, but I love the rhetorical questions he throws out there. I think it's a mark of a true moron to ask a rhetorical question that doesn't have to be rhetorical. Why don't you actually think about the thing that you are saying? So could they just seize the property? Yeah, they could seize the property. You owe that money. So yeah, they might have to take that money. Also, he's supposedly a billionaire. I feel like that has really been lost in all of this. Now, as of right now, he's not gonna have to put up that much money thanks to the developing news of the morning, but he has billions of dollars. Truth Social apparently was just bought for $3 billion despite not being worth $35. So why can't he just pay it? Like honestly, I don't understand. Like it is supposed to come across to us. We're supposed to believe that that's impossible. That either the properties could be seized or he could just pay it. And also, and this is the reason I want to do this, it is very important to them to convince you that the number is random. That it's a large number just to be a large number. Judge Arthur Engoron just made up a big number, and that's why all of this doesn't make sense or is suspicious. But I want to make sure that you understand that that is not remotely true. The number is large, but it is in no way random. It specifically reflects the interest payments that Trump saved by misleading his lenders, as well as profits from the recent sale of 2 properties. He committed fraud. There were direct, measurable financial effects of that fraud, and this is the measurement. This is the money he saved with interest applied. You know, this is a business thing that's gonna happen. That is what it's actually, that's what the number is. It is not random, it was not pulled out of a hat. It represents the money that the Trump organization was able to save as a result of years and years of financial fraud. And I know that pointing this out is almost certainly pointless. It doesn't matter, and everybody will go right back to pretending that the number was just like generated by an artificial random number generator or something like that. But it seems weird that we can't at least land on a couple of common facts.
Yeah, and it would be less. It would be less if he didn't try and appeal it.
That's true. There'd be less interest, certainly.
It'd be right. I mean, I think this is with appeal. It would be in the 300s. Engoron, despite everything, didn't increase it from what he was initially seeking. I mean, not at least by that much. So yeah, he could just pay it and then be done with it, but he won't because he's got to stall until November.
Exactly. Yeah, they're so as the rich all are. They have this dragon sickness. They just this pointless money that means nothing. That is very important to them. You know, I was gonna have a little bit of fun throwing up these other, like Trump in trying to get across this idea that it's all made up. He references SNL randomly. The weird thoughts that go through this man's mind as he barrels towards the potential consequences for his actions. And he also goes off on this rant about the big, nasty, and ugly mouth of Tish James. Just such a weird thing to still like this person, to admire this person, to look up to this person. He is such a revolting human being. And it sucks that we still have to care about him. But anyway, I want to move on to one of the other areas where there are some developments. Let's jump to this. Donald Trump is in court literally right now attempting to delay the hush money fraud case, the famous Stormy Daniels case. The big development of the morning is that he has not succeeded, and the trial will go forward on April 15th. This is notable because although he has already faced many trials, you have the New York civil fraud case, you have E. Jean Carroll, and you have others developing. This is the first actual criminal trial, and he has been successful up until this point in pushing it back a little bit. But supposedly that comes to an end on April 15th. And at that point, the trial can actually happen. He says he's going to appeal it again. I have no doubt. He's going to be doing appeals for the rest of his life, regardless of what else happens. But supposedly, the legal maneuver that the Trump legal team tried to pull today, which is saying that these documents hadn't been released to them from the prosecution, and so they need, I don't know, 30 or 40 years to sort through every single document, which the prosecution says 99% of which have absolutely nothing to do with the allegations of the actual trial. That was what all this is about. They tried to argue that. The judge did not appear to be accepting it throughout, and that's the way it turned out in the end. And so, Francesca, it will actually go forward. We're about 3 weeks away, a little bit less than 3 weeks away of the actual beginning of a criminal trial for Donald Trump. And just so people understand the consequences, it is commonly believed that if he is found guilty of the charges against him, he could face 1 to 4 years in prison. But he is still rich and he is still well connected. So I have a feeling there's probably a few things that'll pop up that'll help him. But what do you think?
I mean, I'm still reeling from the fact that he got off with such a lighter payment in the New York fraud case, and it's a civil trial. And so if that's how they are rolling with a civil trial, who knows what a criminal trial will look like and how they'll backpedal this entire thing. I mean, I think what's significant is that both Stormy Daniels and fixer Michael Cohen are going to be testifying, and they are not known for being loyal for loyalty's sake. They've been thrown under the bus, especially obviously Michael Cohen, by Donald Trump. And so they'll disclose everything. I think it will reveal a lot. I think it'll be fascinating. We know that he knew he was paying off a woman he slept with to keep her quiet. But will it result, and that is a crime to do that. Not to do it, but how he did it, right? Will it result in prison time? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Look, it's still possible. There's a chance, but yeah. And look, we have to remember, he owes a lot of money to E. Jean Carroll. It's not like there have never been any consequences, but that still feels sort of abstract, doesn't it? The financial stuff, when he supposedly has billions of dollars, even $100 million hit feels kind of irrelevant almost.
I think he'd be more happy to go to jail for a year than to pay, because he doesn't have, like, if this ended in somehow a settlement, he'd be like, no, give me the time, because he doesn't have the money, truly.
Well, apparently, because he couldn't cover the bond himself.
No, he couldn't.
But I do want to remind everyone that he is going to try to appeal in every possible way, whether it's the documents or whatever. The most recent thing that they tried to do is, so it's set to begin jury selection April 15th. And we don't know how long this trial will go, probably at least a few weeks. And we get closer and closer to the RNC and the DNC and the general election with every passing week. So it's going to begin on April 15th. That's ahead of Passover. Trump's lawyers say that it should be put off until after Passover, which begins on April 22nd, because members of his defense team will be observing the holiday. But I will remind you, it's going to begin a week before the holiday. It's not on the holiday. So it doesn't even make sense that you delay until after the holiday. But this is what it's like to try to take him to court. They just throw up a million fake little delays. And unfortunately, it often succeeds. This trial was delayed. Eileen Cannon has thrown up delays left and right. The Supreme Court gave him a massive delay on the January 6th trial. It's like so many of these crimes are so utterly visible, transparent, undeniable. And yet he's like a greased pig running around, and you can't get your grip on him, okay? He keeps slipping out, even though we know what the greased pig did. You know what the greased pig did.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You can't get him into an actual courtroom. Anyway, final thoughts?
No, I think you said it. I mean, we'll be watching. It's good TV, but it's Donald Trump, so it's always been.
Okay, with that said, we're gonna take our first break. When we come back, other news. Supposedly, so according to I saw that he was going to do a press conference. Apparently, it might be going on right now. I'm sure I know exactly what he's saying because I've heard it 1,000 times.
Whining again, even though he just got his way. Just be happy. Be grateful for what, like, that's what I don't understand, John. It's like, this is the thing about Donald Trump. We knew this from day one, that if he were just a little bit less of a complete egomaniacal slimeball, he could have had so many people eating out of his hands, right? It was like New York Times and the media and the way that they, like, Maggie Haberman was like, maybe he's a good guy, and everyone wanted to work with him. And all he had to do was be less despicable, and he could have had his way. All he has to do is be, I mean, you think people who are gonna be on his future juries are not looking at what he's doing now? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, be a little bit grateful for the way that this system is rigged in your favor. Instead, it's just whine, whine, whine. But that is in fitting with what the wealthy do, is they bitch and they moan and they always get their way, even though their fingers on the scale. I'm so pissed right now.
Yeah, they often do. And like the reason, we have to remember fundamentally, he's not happy because why would he be happy? What does he have at the end of the day fundamentally to be happy about?
Nothing.
Like, that people retweet him on True Social, like these people that he fundamentally doesn't respect, but he craves their like attention. He doesn't have a good family life. Like he doesn't fundamentally even, remember, he didn't like being president. He needs to be president. He didn't enjoy it when he had it. There's nothing for him fundamentally. And that emptiness, that unfillable emptiness becomes a national problem thanks to the MAGA movement. Okay. Let's see, Chocolate Addicted Dragon, the members comment says, Manic Monday is here and all hell continues to wreak havoc on my life. I'm so grateful for all the dragons, TYT in all its various forms, and lots of chocolate. Let's band together to survive the day and whatever life throws at us, roar. Thank you for being here, much appreciated. Thomas Think Engine says, to paraphrase Steinbeck, poor conservatives don't see themselves as poor, they see themselves as temporarily inconvenienced millionaires. They like the system the way it is because when they get rich, they want to exploit it in the same ways. And of course, it interacts with the racial hierarchy in that they believe that, sure, I'm poor, but I'm poor and white, which means inevitably I will be raised up by Trump or by Elon Musk. Somebody will shower me with the wealth that is my genetic birthright. Anyway, Nancy Gomez, thank you for becoming a member over on YouTube, much appreciated. Ill-advised, gifted a membership, thank you. Wens Waldo, member for 28 months, says, I've never seen someone with such Nat 1 energy have such Nat 20 results. I like the D&D reference there, Francesca, I'm sure did not follow. But anyway, Anthony says, imagine if I got Francesca to role play sometime. I bet you'd be good, you do voices.
See, in the world I live in, that means something very different.
Kind of in my world too. No, anyway, I'm talking about fantasy, dragon stuff. Anyway, Anthony says, welcome back, John. Francesca, you were awesome during his absence and your Valley Girl Trump impersonation was fire. More of that, please. I didn't see that bit. I didn't see the Valley Girl.
Well, I was just reading his bleats as a Valley Girl, which makes way more sense.
There you go. Shadow Dragon Dreamer says, I understand why you didn't read Trump's full BS, but Farron Cousins did, and he did his Trump welcome back ban. Respect Farron Cousins. Some of Trump's bleats are just too long. It's too much. I can't do it. It would take up the whole show if I were to do that. They're just, Twitter made sense when the messages had to be limited length. It meant that you had to think, okay? But that's not what the world is about anymore. Nobody is supposed to think for even a second. You just blurt out whatever comes to your mind. The standards are non-existent.
It's a diary
now. The messages
now.
are too long. Okay. Anyway, unfortunately, we got to go back. We'll be back on the other side. I mean, have any of you seen a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet? It's like 1,000 words long. She doesn't have 1,000 words worth of thoughts, and yet the message is 1,000 words every time. They need to be shorter. Honestly, I might love Elon Musk if he would just go back to like 144 characters maximum on tweet. Anyway, with that said, we need to turn away from Trump and his legal trubs to the battle for control over Congress, which is getting more spicy with every passing week. Let's jump into this.
People even in your own party are attacking you, saying we do not need more division. I mean, after all, Congressman, look how many people have left. Ken Buck stepping down, Mike Gallagher stepping down, and Mike Gallagher is leaving at a time that even makes things tougher for the Republicans, right? He's leaving early, isn't he?
You're right, Maria. And those people stepping down early and leaving are the ones that are leaving it us at risk of the Democrats controlling the majority, not me. I filed this motion to vacate, but I haven't called it to the floor. This is like issuing a pink slip and giving our conference a notice saying that we have got to find a new speaker. This may take weeks. It may take months. It may not even until next Congress. But Speaker Johnson cannot remain as Speaker of the House.
Okay, her metaphor made no sense, but I'm not surprised. I'm sure you're not surprised that she has trouble with metaphoric thinking. It's a little bit abstract, it's beyond her. But anyway, she is still, I guess, pushing forward for her weird, like trying to eject Mike Johnson, not trying to eject Mike Johnson, saying he's on notice, but saying he may stick around until the new Congress, in which case, why are you even doing this? But regardless, and we will get back to the Mike Gallagher stuff, things are not great for Mike Johnson right now. He's trying to do kind of the Kevin McCarthy thing of, having like a functioning government, but he knows that people like Marjorie Greene and Matt Gaetz and others are gonna be nipping at his heels every step of the way. And so the most recent thing that they're using as a reason to attack him is the fact that they passed, the government funding bill. So we knew that this was coming up soon because the deadline is always like 3 weeks after the last battle over this. And so they have this bill that seems relatively reasonable. It's maintains spending levels roughly what they were at back in 2023, and it doesn't do some of the culture war defunding that the right was hoping for. As a result of that, people like Marjorie Greene are obviously infuriated at Mike Johnson, and others beyond just Marjorie Greene are mad too. Chip Roy, who has at least been willing to criticize his caucus from time to time, says Mike was wrong. He warns that if the speaker puts a Ukraine aid bill on the floor, there's going to be a problem within the ranks on Capitol Hill. Representative Tim Burchett, another constant critic of Mike Johnson, said that conservatives are very frustrated at Johnson because they're finding out how bad the bill was. And that just means that it's funding government. Like, we know what the point of this Republican majority in the House is. It's to stop the government from functioning. That's it. It's to try to create economic, social, cultural chaos for Joe Biden in the hopes that that will help Donald Trump in his attempt to take down Biden later on this year. And so, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily want Marjorie to succeed in calling for this effective vote of no confidence on Mike Johnson, because the last time the Republicans tried to replace their speaker, it was an absolute debacle. It wasted multiple weeks that could have otherwise been wasted in talking about Hunter Biden's penis. And so I don't know that they actually want to jump into this again. And there's a lot of critics of Marjorie Greene as well. So before we get to our commentary, here's a little bit of Fox commentators having a little bit of an issue with Marjorie raising this at this particular time.
Are we going to have another few weeks of trying to elect a speaker, or what happens?
God help us. The House Republican majority is a dysfunctional embarrassment.
We shouldn't underestimate how bad what Matt Gaetz did was for the whole system. He unleashed the demons.
I feel we are seeing yet another tantrum by a tiny faction of that conference that is disrupting the entire machine that we just exhaustively waited for to get back on track. And here we are again, watching someone steal the time, steal the audio, steal the limelight, steal the attention. She says we should have our attention on the illegals streaming across the border, on a million other things. No, our attention was on you while you gave a presser. I'm sick and tired of it. As a Republican, as an American citizen, I want them to get to work. I love Speaker Johnson. Who would be better than him, MTG? What is your plan? And I don't want my legislature taking 2 days up to vote for that, to figure everything out, to look incompetent during a presidential election year. This is the last thing I want to be subjected with. This is, it's frankly, at a minimum, it's disappointing.
Okay, I like to see some criticism of the craziest faction of the Republican Party coming from Fox. I like to see it. I was a little bit distracted by, again, maybe you noticed it too. It's weird every time they go to a wide shot on Outnumbered, you remembered that the women of the show are contractually obligated to wear mono-colored dresses of the exact same length. That's super weird, but undeniable.
They're like, what if you're an Easter bunny but hot? Like, you know how you see the Easter bunny, but you're like, what if I undress the Easter bunny with my eyes? Like, dress like that. And you're like, what? Why?
I haven't had that experience, but it's really weird that that has been maintained in 2024. But anyway, the criticism was good. Yeah, it is a major waste of time. Now, unfortunately, all those critics, what they would rather the House be doing is also reprehensible. But yeah, it doesn't seem like this would be beneficial to the right to engage in this fight right now. But good luck corralling Marjorie Greene. What do you think?
I mean, I think it is surprising to hear them actually say this government, this majority, they have the majority in the House, is dysfunctional every single time there's a budget bill up for debate, which, by the way, is not how you legislate. If you want to legislate around the border, then legislate. Remember how Biden caved and capitulated to the right and wanted to sign this bipartisan border bill, and you didn't because Donald Trump said not to? Like, that's how you legislate. Put up a bill to a vote, not just shove things into this government spending bill. Again, our democracy is totally broken. So on that note, I think it's good, and I think it does trickle down to the viewers, to average Republicans who are like, yo, we're literally electing just like psycho, right-wing podcasting, like wine-drunk soccer moms. Maybe we should get something done. But then they remember, wait a minute, we've gotten everything done. We've captured the Supreme Court. We've overturned Roe v. Wade. We are rolling back progress, and no one's life is actually better. No one's living a better life. Oh crap, we better continue to obstruct anything the Democrats do. So again, you have Republicans are in this like spy versus spy little cartoon of their own making. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's bear in mind. So I'm giving credit to them for criticizing Marjorie, but I think it's only because they don't want this to be the distraction. This is a distraction that makes the Republicans look immature, like they can't govern. They're not supposed to govern, but they're supposed to look like they're trying. They're supposed to be demonizing people from Mexico. Like that's what they're supposed to be doing, not attacking Mike Johnson. I mean, he's a religious guy. And so this is really just about, again, you're right. They got what they wanted. They got the tax cuts. They got all that stuff. And they want to maintain it, and they need to win the election to do that. They just think that Marjorie Greene's distraction is one that lowers their chance of actually winning in November. But that said, I do want to talk about that majority. We were talking about this, but more bad news for House Speaker Mike Johnson, as yet another member of the GOP is leaving, and early. This is Wisconsin Representative Mike Gallagher. He is going to be resigning early. This follows another early resignation that happened just a couple of weeks ago. So he had represented Wisconsin's 8th congressional district. He says he's going to leave on April 19th instead of staying until next year to finish out his term. Why the 19th? Well, we actually do know. He's not necessarily admitting it, but he posted this message about it, saying he had conversations with his family and he's made the decision to resign. Family always becomes relevant when you want to leave. Up until then, it doesn't matter. Or you want to lie, yes. Now, why is he actually leaving? Well, he's going to work at defense contractor Palantir. That's to start a job as a lobbyist. So he's leaving early for that. And along the way, doing some damage to the right. Marjorie Greene met this news by saying it's an intentional betrayal. I don't know if it's an intentional betrayal. Maybe it's a betrayal, but it's the exact sort of betrayal that they all do. He's leaving elected office, which he only really wanted so that someday he could cash in on a lobbyist job. That's what he's doing. He's living the dream, man. But anyway, that
John,
means
do you realize?
that. Well, hold on. Just in terms of stakes, him leaving means that as of April 19th, they can only afford, on the Republican side, to lose one vote so that they can actually pass bills. Beyond that, they will not be able to get anything passed unless the Democrats cross over. So thoughts?
Oh, I think it's curtains on their majority in Congress. I mean, that much I think in November is certain. I don't know, pretty certain, especially with these resignations. And it's clear why they're resigning, because they're not fitting into this ineffective obstructionist party that they've always been. This is the party of Mitch McConnell still. It's just now become a parody of itself. It's like This Is Us, or not This Is Us. That's a heartwarming show. This is like the horror film Us, but like Republicans versus Republicans. And they're like, I'm bad, but you're even worse. And that's sort of like this hell world that and funhouse that they've like catapulted themselves into. Yeah. I think two things. One, in terms of, you can't work at a rival fast food company within a certain amount of time after leaving or being let go in this country. If you worked at Applebee's, you can't pick up at Red Lobster. Like, you have more contractual obligations to not work for the opposing or a competing company, then there are contractual obligations on our own Congress people to not immediately go into lobbying. Like this is how broken everything is in this country. Last thing I'll say on the budget. The Republicans got their way and Democrats allowed them to get it by defunding, a so-called culture war that is the culture of the Palestinian people and allowing them to get much needed refugee assistance, food aid, medicine aid. They defunded UNRWA or UNRWA, however you want to say it, which helps Palestinian refugees in Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, around the region. So no, they got their way and Democrats helped them get their way.
Yeah. So anyway, look, to these, I'll close with this. There's other resignations that could be coming. Who was it? Was it Roy a couple weeks ago that resigned? But anyway, he said at the time that others would be coming, and he was right. So now we have Mike Gallagher. Others could be happening too. And look, he did wait until after a critical threshold where he could have left, and then the seat could have been filled until next January. So, but like Marjorie Greene is mad at him for that. None of you guys actually care about any of this. Did you not think that maybe that would bite you on the ass at some point? And also, my God, the people who get into office and then flip their party or just leave after 3 months, like people volunteered for you, people donated to you. God damn, these politicians don't care about any of the stuff they say when they're running. They are 10 steps ahead on the different jobs they're gonna have. And I say this not to blame like Mike Gallagher or whatever. It's like the Democratic Party is full of people like this. We had Kirsten Sinema and everything. Like we elect horrible people over and over and over again. There are good people. I'm not saying America is full of good people, but I think there's 435. Like I think there's a handful of people, and yet they don't end up in Congress, okay? For a variety of reasons, some of which we criticize generally when we see it on the other side, and generally we accept it on our own side. People get screwed over in the process in terms of the primary. They get screwed over by the fact that you have to raise so much money. The system is set up to fill its ranks with Mike Gallagher's and Marjorie Greene's, opportunists and psychopaths. That's the bad thing. And she's like angry at him. You should be angry at the system, Marjorie Greene, the system that you're a part of. Anyway, with that said, we do need to take a break. We're getting towards the end of the hour, but we got lots more to come after this. Okay, everybody, let's see what's going on out there in the audience. Benjamin Morrill says in the super chat, hey, Seska, there is hope. There has to be, right? Hang with us. We fight the horror and injustice together. Well, I'm sure Francesca. Yeah, I'm really calling you Seska. It's like a term of endearment. Yeah, we can have hope. That doesn't mean we have to have hope for very specific solutions. And I still think there's a chance he goes to jail, but I don't know that it's high.
I've got hope. We just have a lot of work to do on all these fronts. And yes, electoral politics is one of them, but it is, I mean, it's like, it's the most abusive relationship, right? Our democracy asking of us to invest in it over and over again, it is abusive. That's not even a good analogy because we have to stay in this relationship. I wouldn't advocate for people staying in an abusive relationship. I don't know what it is. It's terrible.
Well, look, I try to bear, so we have to get past this time. Right now, there is no amazing thing that can happen this time. There are bad things that can happen, and there are other things that can happen.
And there are worse things that can happen.
Yes, there are worse. There are good things that can happen. Not right now. Not right now, unfortunately.
Now is the time of bad.
Bernie was so close, so close. It can happen. It is super, like unfairly difficult, fundamentally unfair. That's one of the biggest things about being in our movement on the side is things are so stacked against you and it is deeply unfair that it's the way it is. But that is unfortunately the only way it's gonna be anytime soon. We can theoretically win. We came very close a couple times in the past and we will have those opportunities. They're not right now, but we have to get past right now without being, like stabbed in the gut in November. And then we try to put something together. That's what we try to do. And we try to fight on hopefully friendlier ground. Biden will not be able to run again. Donald Trump will be even less of the person that he is right now at that point. Things should hopefully be a little bit more amenable to change at that point. Now, with that said, Gail Hefner, member for 39 months, is happy Fantastic Monday. Thank you. Grandma Sunshine Dragon, member for 33 months, says, hi, John, Franny, Dragons, Chat, and Lurkers. Today, I love Franny most because I love elephants. Have a happy day, everyone. Oh, yeah, we do see elephants there.
Wow.
I didn't see the elephants at first.
I like Francesca because I like big elephants. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm wearing
huge
elephants, and there's.
You've been in an animal kick recently. Is that for Karina? Because I noticed your crabs on Friday.
I do have crabs, and I am an elephant.
Is that for Karina so she can see animals on the shirt?
No, but I will say, as a mom, you just start wearing patterns, and you're like, why am I wearing patterns? Oh yeah, because it hides spit up, stains,
yeah,
smudge.
That's true.
Like you're just constantly covered in crap.
I had to go to a nice lunch, and it was difficult to find clothes that weren't either covered in dog hair or spit up. Also, really fast, just because we mentioned the baby. Have you noticed, I was watching a movie over the weekend, and I want to know if you've had this experience since you've had a child. So it was this movie, Joyride. Have you seen it?
Joyride, no, I really wanted to. I didn't, yeah.
Well, it's a comedy, but there was like a really heartfelt part that had to do with kids. Have you noticed yourself being hit harder by movies when stuff about parenting comes up?
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Yeah, it was like crying all through Barbie. Also, like watching babies get killed in Palestine, that also hits a little harder. It hit hard before, but even harder when you're a parent.
Yeah, well, hopefully that hits everyone really hard. Oh my God, I saw some, I follow Shavala Madlid on Instagram, and she posts a lot of really rough stuff, but it's happening, it's true.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Did you cry?
I teared up and cry, a big boy. But anyway, with that said, we jump back into news that's not about my tears. It might be about someone else's tears coming up soon. Let's jump into this.
I'll be joined by former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel in her first interview since stepping down as party chair. In full disclosure to our viewers, this interview was scheduled weeks before it was announced that McDaniel would become a paid NBC News contributor. This will be a news interview, and I was not involved in her hiring.
She has credibility issues that she still has to deal with.
Yeah.
Is she speaking for herself, or is she speaking on behalf of who's paying her? But once at the RNC, she did say that, hey, I'm speaking for the party. I get that. That's part of the job. So what about here?
We hope NBC will reconsider its decision. It goes without saying that she will not be a guest on Morning Joe in her capacity as a paid contributor.
Wow, I have not seen that sort of strike back from the employees of a company over a hiring choice ever, I think. But it involves Ronna McDaniel, who of course was announced she'd be leaving her role as the relatively longtime head of the RNC back in February. She's been hired by NBC, and the hosts of MSNBC not happy about that. There were a lot of critics there. It was pretty broad. Kristen Welker, obviously Morning Joe. Chuck Todd, his criticism of her is the one that's going like the most viral, I guess. He really did bash the fact that they hired her, and I like it. I have not often in my career found cause to compliment Chuck Todd, and I don't like when people say that we look similar. But that said, I liked his commentary. I do think that he could have applied it to many other hires that his company and CNN also have made, where they hire right-wingers in a probably futile attempt to win over right-wing viewers. But in this case, I think it makes all the sense in the world to speak out strongly against Ronna McDaniel being brought on. If you've forgotten, Ronna McDaniel was not only the head of the RNC, but she was a party to some of the most damaging conspiracy theories of the last decade. She was a willing participant in various aspects of the big lie back in 2020. She was a part of the fake electors scheme. And now she is, as we will demonstrate, attempting to sort of clean up her image. But that's who she was. That was who she was when her bread was being buttered by the RNC. And now she wants to be something different, have her image sort of cleansed by NBC and be, a member in good standing of our political culture once again. And I don't know about you, but I hate when this happens. Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, I have a number of thoughts on, first of all, there's money in hiring right-wingers. That's why CNN does it. Some of the top performing shows and podcasts are all run by right-wingers because they are out and out liars. They're denialists. They believe in a world of make-believe, and they have strong accusations. and they're psychotic. And who doesn't want to click on that and watch that stuff? I mean, it happens all the time. And so MSNBC or NBC is just trying to get theirs. Two things. Number one, NBC also hires former Democrats and DNC folks. I mean, you see, now I'm blanking on her name, but former press secretary for Joe Biden and for Barack Obama. And I'm trying to stall because
why am I Psaki? Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki's got a show on MSNBC. You have Simone Sanders with a show on MSNBC. I mean, there is a revolving door between leadership of both parties and corporate media. That is a problem no matter if it's the Republicans or if they're Democrats, even though Democrats, again, dabble in reality more so than Republicans. And the last thing I'll say is I cannot help but think about wonderful progressive voices that were on MSNBC like Mehdi Hasan. And I know there's a difference, MSNBC, NBC, it is the same company. And they got rid of Mehdi Hasan for what he actually dared to do, which was report on the truth when it came to Gaza. And they make room for someone like Ronna McDaniel. Come on, people.
I know.
It's just sad, yo. The state of media is so sad.
Yeah, I guess this is one of the more obviously objectionable things. But like I remember in 2016, man, CNN filled their panels with like Jeffrey Lord and Scotty Nell Hughes. I think I'm probably messing up that name. All these people who are only notable for the insane lies and conspiracy theories that they've willingly spread, now being paid by a company to dilute its viewers. That's what they do because that's what they've always done. Ronna McDaniel, I guess, is one of the easier people to point it out with, but it's always true. And like you're right, you point out Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki was a press secretary. Why is any press secretary hosting a show? And I get it. A lot of Dems and like Biden people like her. And I'm not saying that she's not better at the job, I guess, in terms of communicating than some people. They've had really bad hosts before. But like the job of a press secretary is to spin. That's what you do. And that's a nice way of saying they're liars. They're professional liars that lie and lie and lie. And that's what they do. And if they're really good at it, if they're really good liars, they can stay for a while. And if they're really good liars and good at communicating and easy on the eyes, they can get a show too. That's not how this is supposed to work. Kayleigh McEnany is all over Fox News. That's not supposed to be how this works. If you want to even have the facade that you're a place of facts, no, you're a place with a couple of journalists and a whole bunch of professional spin artists. That's what you are. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
I could say so much more. This is,
I know.
John, we are on fire.
Just annoying, but we need to move on to another terrible person. Let's jump to this. James Carville is back with some criticism of the Democratic Party in a new op-ed, which I just want to show you the front page of it before I explain why I had so much of a problem with what he said. I hate headlines like this. James Carville, the Cajun who can't stop raging. God, I hate the media sometimes. It's so annoying. It's like when you'll have like, I don't know, blank actor doesn't care what you think anymore. Why is it all PR for these wealthy people? But anyway, what he actually said is worse because his criticism of the Democratic Party, it's not like they don't deserve criticism. Here is his criticism. A suspicion of mine is that there are too many preachy females. Don't drink beer. Don't watch football. Don't eat hamburgers. This is not good for you. The message is too feminine. Everything you're doing is destroying the planet. You've got to eat your peas. If you listen to Democratic elites, NPR is my go-to place for that. The whole talk is about how women and women of color are going to decide this election. I'm like, well, 48% of the people that vote are males. Do you mind if they have some consideration? So look, he's lumping a whole lot of stuff together. But overall, the issue is preachy females. Because you know how females are always telling you to not watch football. Can you not take like your interpersonal issues with your own relationship and project it onto the entire planet? The only people telling you not to watch football recently are conspiracist right-wingers who think it's a plot to get Taylor Swift on your TV. Those are the only people. And so I don't think this is how you reform the Democratic Party. And I have a particular issue with it that I will bring up, but I want to give you a chance, Francesca. What do you think?
Once again, it is wild that this is someone that mainstream Democratic news outlets go to again and again for his thoughts on the electorate, on politics, on anything in general. And lo and behold, he ultimately holds an incredibly low opinion of women, clearly. What he means when you say preachy women, it's just women who are talking. Like you would never hear like too many preachy men in politics. You would never hear that. Like men are 48%, but then women are, and then also 50%, if not like more of the electorate. This is a year when all Democratic strategists are telling you the female vote matters because of what's happening to women's rights across this country. And James effing Carville's like, y'all need to pipe down. Yeah. Like that's the most Republican ass crap I have heard in so long. So just miss me with all this, but please collect all your checks from all the outlets that want to hear what you got to say. I'm just a Democrat, but I got a Southern accent. Isn't that weird? But I still hate women. Like,
yeah,
I want to curl up into a ball for at least a week.
So I think there are a lot of reasons to have a problem with what he's saying. My biggest one is, and it's particularly because we are told, what we're sold by James Carville is that he's been around a long time and he knows things. You're all stupid. You don't understand political strategy. Exactly. He knows how to communicate. And yet he is falling into the same exact trap that almost all Democrats do, which is we're the censorious ones, not the right. The right, they just leave you alone. They're so tolerant of everything. It's the Democrats who are controlling language and telling you not to eat a burger and stop eating football. No. The cancel culture stuff is branding, you dumb donkey. Why? And literally in this case, a dumb donkey. Why are you giving into their branding? The right wants to control your body. The right doesn't want you to watch Disney movies. The right is attacking naughty language and songs. The right is banning, and in many cases, literally burning books. The right is trying to control your healthcare decisions. The right is the one that is banning and blocking things and trying to control your behavior. And how dare you think that because some people on the left believe that, maybe we should maintain our planet, which I've always thought of as conservationism, seems like a fairly masculine thing traditionally. I don't know why all of a sudden that's a thing of only preachy females or whatever. They're so willing to jump into this Bill Maher trap of the left are the ones that are doing cancel culture. My God, bring up pronouns in front of the right and you tell me who's trying to control language there. I cannot believe that he is either so stupid or so dishonest that he is continuing this narrative that it's the Democrats that have a problem with censoring people.
100%. And once again, and this is, I know we have not a lot of time, but you're so right on the money with that, John. And I think it's really important as we backlash to some of the racist and sexist language and over focus that the right does on LGBTQ plus books or trans rights, that there's a backlash to that says that that's the stuff that's tripping us up, that it is DEI and it is inclusivity and it is, civil rights. And it's like, no, why would you say, and there is bad identity politics devoid of power discussions, but ultimately what Democrats, what progressives, what leftists stand for is universal rights for all. And actually looking at the structural issues that yes, disproportionately affect women, people of color, LGBTQ plus people, but it doesn't mean we lift those people up devoid of anything else. We just lift them up just cause we're not corporate, we're not Disney, et cetera. So it's just here's what I will say. Progressives actually, and some leftists, parrot Carville and centrist talking points without realizing it when they react to the right's so-called anti-woke campaign by also hating on what they think is woke stuff. And it's a weird little crossover there that happens.
I hate it so much. Okay, but I don't want to end up on a negative note, so I want to provide some helpful advice to everyone. Don't shop at Target and don't drink Bud Light. Don't do that. Don't be trans, certainly not in a public way. Don't cast Brie Larson as the head of your movie. Zendaya doesn't get to be Chani. It has to be a white girl. Right. What else can I control as a lefty? Anyway, it's all so fake. Why are you doing this, James Carville? Just go to your plantation and shut up for a couple of years. and put on a tie when you're on the news. Anyway, look at me trying to control his clothing.
Go to your plantation and put on a tie.
That is all the time we have for the first hour of the show. Much more to come in the aftermath, everybody, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Aftermath, everybody. I'm John Iadarola. She is Francesca Fiorentini. Francesca, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so James Fuzzy Dragon, member for 39 months, says, happy Monday, Dragons. Random thought. Fascism rises when capital has an exponential threat. 20s equals communism, present day equals climate change. That's interesting. Okay, I would need to think about that for longer than I'm able to live on the air, but I appreciate the thought. Dystopian Dragon, member for 38 months, says, era now, that's either ERA now or a Taylor Swift reference. I think it's the Equal Rights Amendment. I think that's a reference to the James Carville thing, but it could be Taylor Swift's. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Equal Rights Amendment. MZ, member for 39 months, says, ooh, peachy females, gotta love peaches. I do, it's a good fruit. Anyway, oh, by the way, speaking of thanking, I wanna thank Sarek, I believe, who sent me this little like
that is so cute.
Pop-Tart.
Oh, that is so cute.
Very cute. Thank you for that. I'm gonna put it right back here. But thank you for that.
What does the sign say? Eat my butt.
It's no, it doesn't actually. Oh my God, it does. No, it says, I know you prefer brown sugar cinnamon, but I wanted to congratulate you on your sweet baby tart Raina. Congrats to you and your wife. May the force be with you all. Thank you.
Aww.
Yes, I got to spend a lot of time with my baby while I was taking care of her while my wife was out of town. And I just wish that I could full-time all the time, you know? And it's crazy. I know I said, I talked a lot about leave. There should be like leave for new parents. I'm not saying to the point where I'm at, but like the idea that like you don't get 3 weeks guaranteed. It doesn't make any sense. Like California is more reasonable and TYT is more reasonable, but like the fact that it's not a federal thing, I don't understand.
Wild.
Like imagine if the pro-life movement ran on, yeah, I know, you think we're a little bit extreme when it comes to the abortion, but we're gonna guarantee 6 months of leave to new parents because we believe in giving birth to babies. We're gonna make you give birth, but then we're gonna give you 6 months. They won't even do that. They're not a spoonful of sugar political movement. I'll give them that. But anyway, okay, lots more to say, lots more comments to read. But first, let's give you a little update on a story we've been tracking the last couple of months. Lauren Boebert loves to post her L's, and we have an example of it. She had a little event, and when I say little event, I mean it was a little event. It was with the Adams County GOP, and she was very happy to meet up with them. She's obviously, you know, in the fight of her life to stay in Congress, and so she posted these photos. And we zoom in a little bit. I don't know that she should have posted the photos. Like, here's the type of like lefty softy I am. I feel bad for her when I see these. There's no reason why I should feel bad or extend any compassion or empathy to Lauren Boebert. She hates my guts, I'm sure. But I feel so bad. That first one especially, if we go back to graphic 2, I see that and I just think like, there's that guy like leaning his arm on another front row chair because nobody's sitting in any of them.
This movie's been out for like 6 months.
Yeah, and I just think she's been a national figure on the right for 4 years now. And she can't fill 30 people, 40 people while she's gone to a new district. You know, they haven't even gotten to see all of her rallies like her old district has, and they don't want to. They don't want to show up. She is fresh off of a Trump endorsement, okay? And she can't fill that little room. And that is, like, I feel bad. I know, you know, Dean Phillips had the same problem. Nobody showed up at one of his events. So I just always feel bad because I always worry if I ever have like a live show, nobody's gonna show up. And that's why I don't generally do it because I'm terrified. But like, she is a famous elected official. And that's what she got. What do you think?
Well, look, I have performed to that size of a crowd. And if you do post a photo from that event, you post it just of you. You're looking great. You got a good, you know, good face. You're making a good point. I'm telling a great joke. But you don't do the reverse shot of the audience. Every stand-up comic knows this. Sometimes we do crappy shows, small shows, bar shows. We do shows, we're thirsty bitches. But you do not zoom out, and Donald Trump knows this too. This is the rule. You don't zoom out and show the whole room, just zoom in. But you shouldn't not feel bad. She probably disrespected each and every person in that room, and they were like, they are not going to vote for her. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. Look, she posted them though. I guess she thinks it's fine, or else maybe she's desperate at this point. But it's not good news. Good news for her. New trailer just dropped for the Beetlejuice sequel, so that's something to look forward to. Maybe go first day. But anyway,
she should have done like a vape off or like some sort of like give free. She should have partnered with a vape company and then given away free pens.
That could fill the seats.
Yes.
That could fill the seats.
Yes.
But anyway, I want to jump past obviously her troubles politically to where she's a little bit more like the other electeds on the Republican side. And this is something that will never stop bothering me. And it is people wanting credit for stuff that they try to stop from happening. It burns my insides when they do this. When they try to be obstacles to people receiving badly needed help, and then they try to like cheer themselves because it got passed over their objections. So she posted this tweet, you can see this: big wins as local communities are receiving over $20 million for water and infrastructure projects. I'm grateful to all the stakeholders who brought these local priorities to my attention and helped ensure my 10 requests were passed into law. She voted against the bill. Now, did she maybe put some amendments into a bill that she intended to try to kill? Sure. But what I love about that is that's not just her doing the thing they always do, where she's like, hey, money, yay, don't look into my voting record. This is her posing with people who wanted the help. They went to her office to ask for the help. She listened to them ask for the help, and then she voted against the bill. And she still wants the cred. That is so duplicitous. If I were one of those people, I would be so utterly angry. I'd be happy that I got the funding. I'd be happy to the many Democrats who supported the bill and Biden who signed the bill. But I would be so angry at people like Lauren Boebert who show up to my like mine or whatever to take a picture and then give me the middle finger by voting against the bill. I hate that sort of hypocrisy, and I don't think there's nearly enough national attention on it.
Well, we gave it attention last week, John, while you weren't here. We talked about this exact thing, that she did exactly that. Yeah, that she posted this. She didn't even vote for the bill. And I think my issue is Joe Biden. Joe Biden did a little bit of this, calling some Republicans out for the projects that he did, but he should have been more specific. Lauren, your district got this infrastructure infusion into like redoing your waterways and making sure like whatever, like all this very important stuff that the government needs to do, and that's why government is important, because like drinking water and stuff. But I think he should have gone harder. Like he should have memorized which project in which person's district. It would have been funny and so good to score points like this. Otherwise, it's just left up to us because they don't care. They're obstructionists. They don't. If it's not again sending like machine guns to the border, then they don't want it.
Yeah, they'd even vote against that right now. Yeah, I understand the reason that this sort of hypocrisy works is because obviously not everybody can pay attention to every vote, and I totally understand that. If you are watching this now, especially if you're watching like the live stream, you're not like everybody else. We're tapped into politics on a daily basis in a way that most people aren't or can't be. But I wish there was a way. I wish there was a way that people could know or could learn to prioritize when they are so utterly lied to by these dishonest politicians. Unfortunately, that's a fight we're gonna have to continue to fight. And with that said, let's move into talking about someone else, someone who might not be on your radar yet, but there's good cause that perhaps she should be. Let's jump into this. Michelle Morrow is a GOP politician who's currently running for superintendent of public instruction in North Carolina, who has now been raised to national attention because of the absolutely insane things that she has advocated for online. Now, she doesn't want you to think about that or be bothered by the comments we're gonna show you. She wants you to focus on something else, which is that the media is being really unfair in pointing out the things that she has said. So here's what she said over the weekend The dysfunctional media is trying to create gotcha moments out of old comments taken out of context, made in jest, or never made in the first place. They're doing it to hide the radicalism of the Democrat platform. It won't work. Okay, so the media is taking things out of context or ignoring the fact that things were jokes, or if they were never made in the first place. And they're doing that because they're radicals. I want you to keep all of those things in mind as we show you some of the things that she has said. We're gonna get to those posts in just a sec. First, here's what angered her about the media. It's CNN asking her about the comments that she's made.
Do you still stand? I'm not talking to you, ma'am. Do you still stand by your comments about former President Barack Obama and that he should be executed, calling for the death of other presidents? Do you stand by that? Do you stand by those comments?
Have a good night.
Do you stand by what you've said about the public education system and that it needs to be destroyed?
No comment.
Do you stand by that?
No comment. No.
Do you understand the concern that people have with this nomination that you now have?
I have a question. Do you vote in North Carolina? Then keep your eyes on your own paper.
Well, let me ask you. I've read papers here too.
Keep your eyes on your own paper.
And the concerns that people have with your nomination, and the things that you have said.
People in New York have concern over my nomination in North Carolina.
People all across the country.
Really?
Yes.
Why are they concerned about North Carolina? Do you know that education is a problem in this entire country? So maybe they need to focus on what's going on in your state of New York.
Well, if it's a problem everywhere, then it makes sense that everybody's concerned about it. And also, I understand that he is a CNN reporter and they're based in New York, but so is Fox News. And I don't think you'd have as much of a problem with them. So what are you actually talking about? So she's running to destroy education under the position of superintendent of public instruction. And the only thing that she knows about school is that you're supposed to keep your eyes on your own paper. So she just throws that in. But what I love about that is she keeps saying no comment, when literally the only reason she is in politics is because she was a commenter, a rabid extremist commenter online. She's Marjorie Greene, come again, effectively. She went on a bunch of websites. She said a bunch of absolutely insane things for clout, not apparently realizing or caring that those things are public and they remain in the public eye. And now she's running from them. So she's gonna claim that she didn't say these things. Or I guess that they're taken out of context. So we're gonna show you not only the comments, but I guess the context. So here's one. She responded to the deplorable choir saying, who wants to see Obama tossed into Gitmo for treason, saying that that's apparently not enough. She doesn't want him to be in jail. She wants a pay-per-view of him in front of the firing squad. I don't wanna waste another dime on supporting his life. We could make some money back from televising his death, #Obamagate.
Oh my God.
I'm the media, obviously I'm dishonest. So that's either taken out of context or it's a joke or she didn't say it. Well, we just showed it to you, so she did say it. Is it a joke? I don't get it. You're a comedian. Is that a joke? Is it taken out of context? I mean, you were asked a question about locking up the president for treason, ill-defined for what, who cares, who knows? You know, he's black, I guess we'll lock him up or whatever. That's the context. We want him to be killed on TV to make money. She responded to this fake Time magazine by saying death to all traitors. Okay. When someone asked if you would follow Joe Biden's advice and wear a mask for 100 days, she said no. And then she immediately pivoted to killing all traitors. By the way, she's a registered nurse. And when you suggest wearing a mask during a pandemic, she thinks you should be killed. So she said those things. That's the context. It's not a joke. And I'm not saying that because it's not funny. There's no context that implies that it's a joke. She didn't say to that CNN reporter that it was a joke. These are the things she believed. This is how she raised her political profile, exactly like Marjorie Greene, calling for the mass execution of the people she disagrees with. And now she's hoping to transition into a political office. And right now it's superintendent of public instruction, but nobody thinks that that's the end of it. She wants to be in Congress eventually. And why shouldn't she be? People like Marjorie Greene got elected. Why couldn't she too? What do you think, Francesca?
I mean, you brought the receipts. I think what's funny is that whenever anyone does, and good on this CNN reporter for actually covering a race that might appear to be, inconsequential to the nation, but actually, to his credit and to what you were saying, it obviously is that someone who's calling for the killing of a former president is like running for president, also who believes like that we should kill traitors or whatever the hell she thinks. Like, it's terrifying. I love the way that the right thinks gotcha questions is just asking if you stand by what you said. Like, how dare you? You know, like again, these are people I guess don't have mirrors, or they don't talk to themselves. They don't journal about like their former beliefs. They don't look at some of the tweets they put out. And they maybe, I mean, did she delete that? That's what's crazy to me. These fools are running and like, they don't delete their old tweets. I delete old jokes because maybe I want to like appear on like an MSNBC panel one time. You know what I'm saying? And like I watched the R. Kelly documentary and I was like, oh, and I started tweeting. I was like, maybe I'll delete. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, lastly, run for office. If you think that you cannot, you can. You don't have to have that much money not to run for like a superintendent or whatnot. Just run. You're smarter.
I don't think I'm not qualified. I haven't called for enough death of my political opponents, I guess. Yeah, I just you're asked if you stand by it or you don't. So which is it? I mean, she's not saying she doesn't stand by it. So I think a lot of people would believe in that case. It seems like you don't have a problem with the fact you said, like you said, you delete those old comments. That means you don't stand by it, theoretically.
Yeah.
So which is it? Like, and oh, you're a reporter from New York. Okay, so if we get a local reporter to ask you, will you answer then? Like these are simpletons. These are cowardly simpletons hiding behind anonymity online, throwing around wild accusations of how people that they disagree with or don't like the skin color of should all die. And then the second they're actually approached with the camera, it's like, oh, no comment, no comment. And unfortunately, there's no reason to believe that she can't win this election. There's no reason to believe that the Republican Party is going to distance themselves from her. These are the sort of people that they want to raise to political office. They do not want you to believe that government is a serious place for serious people. They want it to be a clown show so that you will check out. And so they are filling it with psychopathic clowns. Anyway, with that said, we are unfortunately very low on time, so we do need to transition to our last topic. So whenever we're ready, let's do this. I don't know that we need to know any more specific details about the unfortunate, fairly tragic sexual experience between Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump, but new details are here in a new documentary called Stormy. And in it, Stormy Daniels, who is just about in a few weeks to possibly take the stand in Donald Trump's New York hush money case, is revealing what happened to her on that infamous day that led to all of what happened afterwards. So she says she met him at a charity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe way back in 2006. She just saw him as a goofy reality star, saying he was a playboy and he was used to getting his way. So he invited her to dinner at his hotel. She got there early, and when she arrived, he was only wearing black silk pajamas, which is just sort of glossed over in this sentence. He's wearing them before dinner. She didn't show up too late. Why was he wearing black silk pajamas earlier in the day? I mean, we know what he was planning for their meeting, but it's almost like we're supposed to pretend that like she inconvenienced him by showing up. No, he was wearing them because of what he planned to do. So she went there for business. She was there to negotiate a possible appearance on The Apprentice, and he pretended that that's what they were gonna talk about, saying you're actually really smart. But when she got there and she came out of the bathroom, he cornered her. And that's when he began to paw at her. And she has been very clear, to be fair, she is not alleging that he raped her. She says that it was not rape, but that she didn't expect that if she had said no, he would have taken no for an answer. And she didn't want to have the sexual experience. And so she says, I didn't want it, but I allowed it to happen. I blame myself because I didn't shut his ass down in the moment. I hate that she feels she needs to blame herself for that. But again, she's not making a claim that it was rape. It was just another experience of a woman who feels like because of his wealth and his influence that there was little she could do. And so she had to submit to his sexual advances that she didn't want. I am sure she is very, very, very far from alone in that when it comes to Donald Trump. And bear in mind, a couple of important factors about that story. So one, at that time he was 60 and she was 27. Also, Melania had 2 months prior given birth to Baron Trump. And this doesn't bother anyone on the right. It doesn't. They think that he's Jesus reincarnated, okay? it's just, again, you throw it on the pile of things that are so awful in so many different ways, and you throw it on there knowing that it won't make a lick of difference. Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, I think every woman can identify with Stormy Daniels' experience, and some of us aren't like, it wasn't even about a powerful dude. It was just like, yeah, all right, fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, look, I think that rapey, like with a Y, is very applicable here, especially when there is that power dynamic. I think these are the gray areas of sexual assault and consent that we are starting to really talk about more, and in a good way. And I want Stormy Daniels to have, I want her to be this person who made this decision and she wanted it and she was into it, and then ill gross, he had a nasty, mushroom, blah, blah, blah. Like that is a much almost an image of a woman that is like not stronger, but just like, it's funnier to me. It's more lighthearted. The reality is actually much darker, and it's sadder, and it is rapier, and it is more coercive. And he absolutely is a POS. And of course, this is how it all went down, to say nothing of the fact that his wife had just given birth, as you said, and the fact that he had an effing wife, and that he assumed because she was a porn star that she would be down, which I think sex workers get all the time, and she talks about that as well. It's just sad. Like, it's sad to me all up and down, but just like, I think if we've learned something from the Me Too movement, it means, and we've learned something from the Q movement and Marjorie Greene, it's we can run for office.
Yeah.
And don't sleep with a dude. We could say no. It's okay. And
look, the reason I think this is particularly relevant is she is going to potentially testify. And she, by the way, in doing that, she's been attacked for years now over this. She's gonna face more attacks, including potentially violent attacks. She says that someone came to her house and shot her horse with a rubber bullet.
Jesus.
So she potentially faces harassment and threats, once again being thrust into the spotlight from this. But I'll just leave, like, if you're a MAGA person, or particularly the man I don't have any hope for, if you're a MAGA woman, you're watching this, like, why does it not bother you that like he didn't remotely care if she was interested? Like,
no.
Like, she's not saying it's rape, but she didn't want to have sex with him, and he didn't care because he didn't think that she merited caring.
Right.
I want to remind you of something that he said. You remember when he said, when you're a star, they let you do it? And everybody has focused on the fact that that's, like violent and non-consensual. But like, he doesn't say when you're a star, they want you to do it. He doesn't care. Even back then, they let you do it. He has internalized that he gets to have sex with people who don't want to have sex with him, and he's totally fine with that. And I get it, he's a broken shell of a man, but we shouldn't be fine with it. It should bother us at the very least. Please raise your boys to have that bother them. Anyway, unfortunately, we don't have more time. I wish we had 5-10 more minutes for this, but we will be seeing in 3 weeks. The trial will be going forward, so definitely stay tuned for that. We're gonna go film some bonus content talking about the attack on the concert hall in Russia, as well as the Security Council vote on a Gaza ceasefire. So very exciting stuff. Definitely sign up if you'd like access to that. Francesca, as always, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Listen to the Bitchuation Room podcast or watch it live Tuesdays and Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/FrannyFio.
Nice, everyone check that out. And lots more to come throughout this week, so stay tuned. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.